The Grand Assembly Hall was the largest structure ever built by living creatures. It floated in the darkness of space, orbiting a world called Velion Prime. Inside, 4,000 species had gathered. They came from every corner of the galaxy. Some had ruled the stars for 1,000,000 years. Others were newer, but all of them had power. All of them had a voice. And today, they would use that voice to judge humanity. Ambassador Una stood alone in the center of the hall. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm eyes. Around her, thousands of alien faces watched from their seats. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had no faces at all, only lights that pulsed when they spoke. Una did not look afraid. She stood with her hands behind her back and waited. The High Arbiter spoke first. His name was Moloch, and he belonged to a species called the Finari. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Moloch's voice was deep and cold. "Humanity," he said, "you have been members of the Galactic Union for 200 years. In that time, you have broken our laws. You have ignored our warnings. You have developed weapons and engines that we forbade. You have expanded into territories that were not yours. You have refused to stop." Una said nothing. She only listened. Moloch continued, "The Union exists to keep peace. For 1,000,000 years, we have maintained order. We have rules. Species must not grow too fast. Species must not create dangerous technology. Species must not threaten the balance. Humanity has done all of these things." He paused and looked around the hall. Every species was watching. Every species was silent. "The Council has voted," Moloch announced. "The result is clear. 3,847 species have voted in favor of exile. 12 have chosen not to vote. None have voted against." A low sound moved through the hall. It was the sound of agreement. The sound of judgment. Moloch turned back to Una. "Ambassador, the Galactic Union hereby exiles Earth and all human territories. You will lose access to the Gateway Network. You will lose all trade agreements. You will be removed from Union protection. You have 30 days to withdraw your ships and people from Union space." He leaned forward slightly. "Do you wish to speak? Before this decision becomes final? You may apologize. You may beg for mercy. The Council may consider reducing your punishment." Every eye in the hall turned to Una. This was the moment. This was where species usually broke down. They cried. They begged. They promised to change. The Union had seen it many times before. Una did not cry. She did not beg. Instead, she smiled. It was a soft smile, small and quiet. It confused the aliens watching her. Why would someone smile at such a moment? "High Arbiter," Una said, her voice calm and clear. "I will not apologize. I will not beg. Humanity has done nothing wrong." Whispers spread through the hall. Moloch's 4 hands tightened into fists. "You grew because you were afraid of us," Una continued. "Not afraid of our weapons, afraid of our potential. In 200 years, we achieved what took your species 100,000. That terrified you, so you made rules to slow us down. When we refused to be slowed, you called us criminals." She looked around at the thousands of faces watching her. "You think this exile will destroy us. You think that without your gateways, without your trade, we will fade away. You are wrong." Una bowed once, a simple gesture of farewell. "The Galactic Union will regret this decision. Not because we will seek revenge. We will not attack you. We will not hate you. But someday, you will face a danger that you cannot defeat alone. You will call for help, and we will not be there." She turned and walked toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the silent hall. No one tried to stop her. No one said a word. They simply watched as the human ambassador left the greatest gathering in the galaxy without looking back. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Tay sat in his command chair aboard the warship Horizon's Edge. He was an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had served Earth for 40 years. He had fought pirates, negotiated treaties, and explored unknown stars. But he had never faced a moment like this. His communication officer, a young woman named Sora, turned to him. "Admiral, we just received word from Valium Prime. The vote is complete. Earth has been exiled." Tay nodded slowly. He had expected this. Everyone had expected this. The Union had been looking for a reason to punish humanity for decades. Now they had found one. "What are your orders, sir?" Sora asked. Tay was quiet for a moment. Then, surprisingly, he laughed. It was a soft laugh, almost gentle. "Sir?" Sora looked confused. "They think they have defeated us," Tay said. "They think we will crawl back and beg. They do not understand humans at all." He stood up and looked at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, beyond the Union's control, there was empty space. Uncharted, unexplored, waiting. "Send a message to Fleet Command," Tay ordered. "Tell them to begin Protocol Exodus." "We are leaving." "Leaving, sir? Leaving where?" Tay smiled the same smile that Una had shown the Council. "Home," he said. "We are going to build a new home. And this time, no one will tell us how to live." The message went out across human space. On Earth, on Mars, on the moons of Jupiter and the stations orbiting Saturn, people received the news. The galaxy had thrown them out. But instead of despair, something else spread through humanity. Something that had always lived in their hearts. Hope. The exile had begun. But so had something else. Something the Galactic Union would never see coming. Humanity was not running away. They were walking towards something greater. 6 months had passed since the exile. The Galactic Union watched Earth from a distance. They sent spy ships to observe. They expected to see chaos. They expected to see suffering. They expected humans to come crawling back, begging for forgiveness. They saw none of these things. Instead, they saw something impossible. Dr. Mira stood in the control room of the Sol Orbital Research Station. She was a thin woman with tired eyes and messy hair. She had not slept in 3 days. But today, sleep did not matter. Today was the day everything changed. "Is it ready?" asked Director Park, an older man who led the station. Myra nodded. "The fold engine is ready. We have tested it 100 times in simulation. It works. Simulations are not reality," Park said carefully. "If this fails, we lose the ship. We lose the crew." "It will not fail," Myra said. Her voice was quiet but certain. "I have spent my entire life building this. The Union thinks their gateways are the only way to travel between stars. They are wrong. The fold engine does not need their network. It bends space itself. We go where we want, when we want." Park looked at her for a long moment. Then he gave a small nod. "Do it." Myra pressed the activation button. In space, a small test ship sat waiting. Inside, a pilot named Jun held his breath. He was young and nervous. No human had ever done what he was about to do. "Fold engine activating," said a calm computer voice. "Bending space in 3, 2, 1. The ship did not move. Instead, space moved around it. The stars stretched and twisted. Light bent in ways that hurt to look at. And then, in the blink of an eye, the ship was gone. It reappeared 300 light years away, in a region of space the Union had never explored. Jun looked out his window at unfamiliar stars and laughed out loud. "It worked!" He shouted into his radio. "Dr. Myra, it worked! I am in the outer veil." Back at the station, Myra allowed herself a small smile. The secret humanity had kept for 50 years was finally revealed. They had never needed the Union's gateways. They had simply pretended to need them. News of the fold engine spread across human space within hours. And with it came a message from Earth's government. The Exodus begins now. All humans who wish to leave Union space may do so. Ships will be provided. No one will be left behind. Captain Hyan commanded the civilian evacuation fleet. He was a serious man with a square jaw and kind eyes. His job was simple but important. Get every human who wanted to leave to safety. His fleet gathered near Mars. Thousands of ships arrived, filled with families, workers, scientists, and dreamers. Old people who remembered Earth's first contact with aliens. Young children who had never seen Earth at all. All of them were leaving the only home they had ever known. "Captain," said his first officer, a woman named Yoon, "we have received final numbers. 94% of humans have chosen to leave." Hyan raised an eyebrow. "Only 6% staying?" "Yes, sir. Some have alien friends or family. Some do not believe we can survive alone. Some are just afraid." "Fear is understandable," Hyan said. "We are jumping into the unknown. But I believe we will find something better out there." He stood on the bridge and looked at the fleet around him. So many ships. So many people. So much hope. "All ships," he announced through the fleet-wide channel, "prepare for departure. Stay close. Watch out for each other. This is not an ending. This is a beginning." One by one, the ships activated their fold engines. Space did. Light bent. And humanity began to disappear. The Union observation ships recorded everything. They sent reports back to Velome Prime with confusion and alarm. "They are not fleeing," one report said. "They are moving with purpose. They have technology we have never seen. They are not dying. They are migrating." Counselor Brenneth of the Oraki Collective read the reports with growing worry. The Oraki were an old species, wise and careful. Brenneth had voted for the Exile, but now she was not sure it had been the right choice. "We exiled them to weaken them," she said to her advisors. "Why do they look stronger?" No one had an answer. Over the following weeks, humanity emptied itself from Union space. Mining stations in asteroid belts were packed up and folded away. Research labs on frozen moons were evacuated. Farms on terraformed worlds were harvested one last time, then abandoned. The Union expected humans to struggle without their help. They expected resource shortages, starvation, and desperation. None of that happened. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. They had stored food, water, fuel, and medicine. They had mapped the outer veil in secret. They knew exactly where they were going. Admiral Tay watched the exodus from his flagship. He was proud of his people. They had been thrown out like unwanted guests, but they had not broken. They had stood up, dusted themselves off, and walked into the darkness with their heads held high. "Sir," said Sora, his communication officer, "the last convoy has departed. Human space is now empty." Tay nodded. "And the Union observation ships?" "Still watching us, sir." They seemed confused. Tay smiled. "Let them watch. Let them wonder. Someday they will understand what they lost today." He looked out at the stars one last time. These were not his stars anymore. His stars were waiting in the outer veil, in a region of space no one had ever claimed. "Set course for the rendezvous point," he ordered. "It is time to build a new home." The horizon's edge activated its fold engine. Space stood around it, and Admiral Tay, along with the last of humanity's military fleet, vanished from Union space forever. Behind them, they left only silence. Empty stations, abandoned colonies, and a galaxy that suddenly felt much larger and much lonelier than before. The Union had exiled Earth. They had expected victory. Instead, they had planted the seeds of their own decline. They just did not know it yet. 50 years had passed since humanity left. The galaxy was quieter now. Too quiet. High Arbiter Moloch had died 20 years ago. His replacement, a younger Finari named Voss, sat in the same chair and faced the same council. But the council was different now. Fewer species attended the meetings. Many seats were empty. The Great Hall felt hollow. "The plague continues to spread," reported a medical officer. "We have lost 3 more worlds this month. Total deaths now exceed 4 billion. Voss closed his 4 eyes in frustration. The plague had started in Finari space 5 years ago, a strange disease that attacked the nervous system. Their ancient medical databases offered no cure. They had reached out to the Iraqi, to Telem, to Voss, but no one could help. "What about the human medical research?" Voss asked. "Before they left, they shared immunology studies with us. Can we not use those?" The medical officer shifted uncomfortably. "Arbiter, when humanity was exiled, we deleted their contributions from our databases. It was policy. We did not want to rely on their work." Voss stared at him. "We deleted cures because of policy? We did not think we would need them, sir." The silence in the hall was heavy. Voss remembered his father telling him about the exile, how the Union had celebrated, how they had believed they were protecting themselves from a dangerous species. Now that dangerous species was gone, and the Finari were dying. Far from Finari space, the outer rim was burning. Pirate fleets controlled entire systems now. The Nef Corsairs had grown bold without human patrols to stop them. They raided trade convoys. They attacked colonies. They took what they wanted and killed anyone who resisted. Councillor Brenneth, now very old, addressed the council about the crisis. "We have lost 12 colony worlds to pirate attacks this year alone. Our security forces are spread too thin. We cannot protect everyone. Request more ships from member species," Voss suggested. Brenneth shook her head slowly. "Member species are keeping their ships at home. They are afraid. They trust no one. They trusted humans," someone muttered from the back of the hall. Voss pretended not to hear. But he knew it was true. Humans had been everywhere once, trading, helping, solving problems. They had been loud and messy and constantly changing, but they had also been useful. More than useful. They had been the glue holding parts of the Union together. Now they were gone, and everything was falling apart. In a small office on the Union capital, a young official named Tella discovered something interesting. She was organizing old records when she found a holographic message. It had been recorded 50 years ago by Ambassador Gia. Yuna's replacement, curious, Tella played it. Gia's image appeared. She was a middle-aged woman with gray streaks in her hair and sad eyes. She spoke directly to the camera. "This message is for whoever finds it in the future," Gia said. "I know you will not listen now. You are too proud. But someday, when things go wrong, you might remember these words." Tella leaned closer. "You called us dangerous because we changed," Gia continued. "You called us aggressive because we grew. But growth is not aggression. Change is not danger. Stagnation is death. You chose stagnation. We chose otherwise. I hope, for your sake, that you learn the difference before it is too late." The message ended. Tella sat in silence for a long time, thinking about what she had just heard. Meanwhile, in the Outer Veil, humanity was thriving. Nari was a young terraforming engineer on a world called Dawnlight. She was 23 years old, with long black hair and curious eyes. She had been born after the exile. She had never seen an alien in person. To her generation, the old galaxy was just a story their grandparents told. What were they like? Nari asked her grandmother one evening. They were sitting on a hillside, watching the twin suns set over fields of golden wheat. Her grandmother, a wrinkled woman named Soon, smiled softly. The aliens? They were strange. Some were kind. Some were cruel. Most were just tired. They had lived so long that they forgot how to dream. Why did they exile us? Because we reminded them of what they used to be, Soon said. Young, hopeful, unafraid. They looked at us and saw their own lost potential. It frightened them. Nari thought about this. Do you miss them? Sometimes, Soon admitted. But I do not regret leaving. Look at this world. Look at what we built. We would never have made this in the Union. They would have told us to stop, slow down, wait. We would have waited forever. Nari looked at the fields, the distant cities, the ships rising into the sky. Her grandmother was right. Dawnlight was beautiful. It was home. And humans had built it in just 50 years. On Founding Day, Admiral Tay gave a speech. He was 97 years old now, his hair white and his body frail. But his voice was still strong. 50 years ago, the galaxy threw us out. He said to the crowd gathered on New Terra, humanity's new capital world. They said we were too dangerous, too ambitious, too alive. He paused, looking at the faces before him. Children, adults, elders, all of them human, all of them free. They were right. Tay continued. We are dangerous. We are ambitious. We are alive. And we will never apologize for that. The crowd cheered. They exiled us because they feared what we might become, Tay said. Let us make sure their fear was justified. Not through war, not through revenge, but by building something so great, so beautiful, so powerful, that the galaxy will never forget us. He raised his hand to the sky, where human ships flew in formation. This is our home now. This is our future. And no one will ever take it from us again. The cheering continued long into the night. Fireworks exploded over New Terra. Music played. People danced out somewhere. Far across the galaxy, the Union was dying. But here, in the Outer Veil, humanity was just getting started. And the best was yet to come. 100 years after the exile, darkness came to the galaxy. It started at the edge of Union space. A small research station detected something unusual. A signal from beyond the galaxy. The researchers were excited at first. First contact with extragalactic life was a historic event. Then the signal got closer. And they stopped being excited. The Hollow arrived without warning. No one knew what they were. Machines, perhaps. Ancient artificial intelligence from another galaxy. They did not communicate. They did not negotiate. They simply consumed. Their first target was a small colony world called Turin. The Hollow descended from space, like a swarm of metal insects. They ate everything. Buildings, ships, people, even the soil and rock beneath the surface. When they finished, nothing remained but a dead sphere floating in space. The Union sent warships. The warships did not return. They sent more warships. Those did not return either. Within 5 years, the Hollow had consumed 40 worlds. They were relentless. They did not sleep. They did not stop. And worst of all, they learned. They studied Union technology and turned it against the Union. The gateways, the ancient network that connected. Union space became weapons. The Hollow found ways to hack them, to redirect them, to use them for ambushes. Species that had relied on gateways for 1 million years suddenly found their greatest achievement being used to destroy them. Arbiter Dessa, the new High Arbiter, called an emergency meeting of the Council. But the Council was barely functional now. Only 2,000 species remained. The rest had fled, hiding in distant corners of the galaxy, hoping the Hollow would not find them. We are losing this war, Dessa announced. Her voice was steady, but fear showed in her eyes. Our defenses are failing. Our fleets are being destroyed. If we do not find a solution soon, the Union will cease to exist." The hall was silent. No one had solutions. They had spent 1,000,000 years avoiding danger instead of learning to face it. Now danger had found them, and they did not know how to fight. A young counselor raised his hand. "What about the humans?" Dessa looked at him. "The humans left 100 years ago. They are gone." "But they are not dead," the counselor insisted. "They went to the outer veil. They might still be there. They might have technology that can help us." "They were exiled," someone else said. "They hate us. Do you have a better idea?" The young counselor asked. No one did. After much debate, Dessa authorized a transmission. It was sent into the outer veil, aimed at coordinates where human ships had last been detected decades ago. "To the humans of Earth," the message said. "This is High Arbiter Dessa of the Galactic Union. We face an existential threat. The Hollow is destroying us. We formally request your assistance. Please respond." The message traveled into the dark. And then there was nothing to do but wait. On New Terra, the message arrived 3 days later. President Day read it in her office. She was a tall woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. She had been president for 10 years. In that time, she had overseen the greatest expansion in human history. The Human Federation now controlled over 1,000 worlds. They had technology that would have seemed like magic a century ago. They were stronger than they had ever been, and now the people who had thrown them out wanted their help. They called an emergency meeting of the Federation Council. The debate was fierce. Elder Counselor Sue stood first. She was 112 years old. She remembered the exile. She remembered the humiliation. "They cast us out like garbage," she said, her voice shaking with old anger. "They deleted our research. They celebrated our departure. And now, when they are dying, they come begging. One say, let them burn." Several counselors nodded in agreement, but Fleet Admiral June stood to speak next. She was Tay's grandchild, a woman of 50 with her grandfather's sharp eyes and calm voice. "I understand your anger," she said. "I share it. But we are not them. We never were. That is why they feared us." She looked around the room. "If we abandon them now, we become what they accused us of being: dangerous, cruel, indifferent to suffering. Is that who we want to be?" "They were indifferent to us," Sue replied. "Yes," June agreed. "And we hated them for it. Do we want to become what we hate?" The debate continued for hours. Arguments flew back and forth. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted justice. Some wanted nothing to do with the Union ever again. Finally, President Day called for a vote. All those in favor of responding to the Union's request. Hands rose slowly. One, then another, then more. It was close. Very close. When the count was finished, Day nodded. "The motion passes. We will help them, but on our terms, not theirs." She turned to Admiral June. "Prepare the fleet. We are going back." June saluted. "Yes, Madam President." As the council filed out, Sue approached Day. "I hope you know what you are doing," the old woman said. "They do not deserve our help." Day looked at her with tired eyes. "Perhaps not. But we are not doing this because they deserve it. We are doing it because it is right. Because that is who we are." Sue said nothing. She simply walked away. That night, orders went out across the Human Federation. Ships were recalled. Soldiers were mobilized. Engineers prepared weapons that had never been tested in real combat. The largest military operation in human history was about to begin. In her quarters, aboard the flagship Eternal Dawn, Admiral June looked at a photograph on her desk. It showed her grandfather, Admiral Tay, standing on the bridge of the Horizon's Edge 100 years ago. He had died 30 years ago, but his words still echoed in her mind. "We will prove them wrong," he had said. "Not through revenge. Through who we are." June touched the photograph gently. "I hope I make you proud, grandfather." Then she stood, straightened her uniform, and walked to the bridge. The fleet was waiting. The galaxy was calling Dot. It was time to go back. The sky above Velion Prime turned white. Dot at first. The Union defenders thought it was another hollow attack. They had been fighting for months. Their ships were broken. Their people were exhausted. They had almost given up hope. Then the white light faded, and they saw the human fleet. 10,000 ships emerged from fold space. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Sleek designs that Union engineers had never seen. Weapons that glowed with strange energy. Technology a century more advanced than anything the Union possessed. Admiral June stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn. She looked at the chaos below. Velion Prime, once the proud capital of the galaxy, was burning. Hollow machines swarmed over its surface. Union ships fought desperately, but they were losing. "All ships," June announced calmly, "target the Hollow Harvester. Fire at will." The human fleet moved like a single organism. Ships that should have been too large to maneuver danced through space with impossible grace. Their weapons fired in perfect coordination. Beams of light cut through hollow machines like knives through paper. The Hollow Harvester was enormous. A construct the size of a small moon, covered in metal tentacles that reached down to consume Velion Prime. It had destroyed 50 worlds already. Nothing had been able to stop it. Human weapons hit it from 1,000 angles at once. Explosions rippled across its surface. For the first time since the war began, the Hollow hesitated. "They are adapting," reported June's tactical officer, a young man named Kyung. "They are learning our attack patterns." "Then we change our patterns," June replied. "Signal all ships. Randomize fire sequences. Do not repeat any pattern twice." The order went out. Human ships, crewed by humans who understood creativity and chaos in ways the Hollow could not, began attacking unpredictably. No two ships fired the same way. No two maneuvers were repeated. The Hollow tried to adapt, but humans adapted faster. The battle lasted 9 days. On day 3, the Harvester's shields began to fail. On day 5, its engines went dark. On day 7, human marines boarded the construct itself, fighting through corridors filled with machines that wanted to consume them. Captain Wu led the boarding party. He was young, barely 30, with a quick smile and fearless eyes. His grandfather, the old Captain Hyan, had led the civilian evacuation a century ago. Now Wu was fighting to save the galaxy his grandfather had left behind. "Keep moving," Wu shouted as his team advanced through the Harvester's core. "We need to reach the central processor." Hollow machines attacked from every direction. Wu's soldiers fought back with weapons and bare hands. They lost people, good people, but they did not stop. Finally, they reached the center. The central processor was a massive sphere of pulsing light. It was the Harvester's brain. Destroy it, and the machine would die. "Set the charges," Wu ordered. His demolition expert, a woman named Hai, placed explosives around the processor. "Charges set, sir." 60-second timer. Everyone out. Wu shouted, "Move!" The team ran. They sprinted through corridors as explosions began to ripple behind them. They reached their extraction point just as the charges detonated. Wu was the last one to the shuttle. He was almost there when a piece of debris caught him. It hit his leg and pinned him to the floor. "Captain!" I screamed. "Go!" Wu shouted. "Get the others out." "That is an order." The shuttle lifted off. Through the window, Hai watched as the Harvester began to break apart. She watched as Captain Wu disappeared into the flames. He died saving them all. The Harvester, exploded in a burst of light visible from every ship in the system. The hollow forces, suddenly without direction, scattered and fled. For the first time in years, the Union had won a battle. In the aftermath, human medical ships descended on Velion Prime. Dr. Hana coordinated relief efforts from the hospital ship Grace. She was a xenobiologist, trained to understand alien physiology. Now she used that training to save lives. Union refugees flooded the medical bays. Fenari, Oraki, Telem, species that had voted for humanity's exile. Species that had celebrated their departure. A Fenari patient grabbed Hana's arm. He was old and weak, barely alive. "Why?" he whispered. "Why are you helping us? We cast you out." Hana looked at him with gentle eyes. "Because you needed help. That is enough." She continued her work. She saved the Fenari's life. She saved hundreds more. She did not ask for gratitude. She did not demand apologies. She simply helped, because that was what humans did. When the crisis finally ended, the Union offered humanity everything. Full restoration of membership. A permanent seat on the High Council. Formal apologies. Access to all resources and territories. President Day stood before the council one final time. She looked around at the alien faces watching her. Some showed gratitude. Some showed shame. Some showed nothing at all. "Thank you for your offers," Day said. "But we must decline." Shocked whispers spread through the hall. "We did not return for your approval," Day continued. "We returned because it was right. We will help you rebuild. We will fight beside you against the Hollow if they return. But we will not rejoin an institution that punishes growth and fears change." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The Galactic Union must evolve. You must learn that change is not the enemy. Progress is not a threat. If you cannot learn this, you will face the next crisis alone. We will not save you again." She turned and walked away, just like Ambassador Yuna had walked away 100 years before. But this time, she left behind something different. Not anger, not abandonment. She left behind a choice. Admiral June stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn one last time before the fleet departed. The stars of Union space glittered around her, beautiful, cold, unchanged. A young ensign named Jin approached her. "Admiral, do you think they will change?" June considered the question. She thought about her grandfather, about Yuna, about all the humans who had dreamed of something better. "I do not know," she admitted. "But we gave them the choice. That is more than they gave us." Jin nodded thoughtfully. "What do we do now?" June smiled. "We go home. We continue building. We continue growing. We become everything they feared we would become, not to hurt them, but because it is who we are." The fleet activated their fold engines. Space stood. Light bent. And humanity vanished into the infinite dark, leaving the galaxy to decide its own future. Behind them, on Velion Prime, a young Fenari child looked up at the sky. She had watched the human ships arrive. She had seen them fight. She had seen them heal. And now she watched them leave. "Mother," she asked, "will they come back?" Her mother, still recovering from her own injuries, smiled sadly. "I do not know, little one, but I hope so." The child looked at the stars for a long time. Then she made a quiet promise to herself. When she grew up, she would make sure her people changed. She would make sure they learned. And someday, maybe, they would be worthy of the humans who had saved them. The galaxy had exiled Earth. Humanity had smirked and walked away. But in the end, they had done something far more powerful than revenge. They had shown the galaxy what it could become. And that was a lesson worth more than any empire.